Parallel ninja worlds collide, Empire vs. Altered Konoha. Like, share and subscribe. Episode 51. Kakashi's defection, Danzo's ultimate imagination. Should I join the other party? By Kakashi thought in his heart. Indeed. Just as Obito said. I want to find out the truth and get revenge. I can only choose to rely on the power of the other party. By Kakashi suddenly laughed at himself. Not long ago, he was still advising Sasuke not to accept the invitation of these unknown visitors from Otherworld. As a result, now it is his turn to decide whether to join them. What a irony. Should he abandon Konoha and join the Empire of Otherworld? By Kakashi slowly closed his eyes. In his mind, he recalled the scenes of this period. On the bridge of Wave Country, when fighting with Momochi Zabuza, several visitors from other worlds fell from the sky. Each of them had unimaginable strength, and they said a lot of words that he couldn't understand. From these people, he learned about the existence of the Empire of Otherworld, and learned about another different direction and different possibilities of the ninja world. To be fair, Bai Kakashi would also feel envious. Not only envy of the strength of the Empire of another world Yamato civilization. Also, the experience of myself in another world is obviously not as tortuous and cruel as mine. In the ninja world over there, in the 40th year of the Konoha calendar, the ninja world was unified and ushered in a long-term peace. And myself here. Starting from the 41st year of the Konoha calendar, in the less than 10 years that followed. My father, 2 teammates, teacher and teacher's wife, these people who were important to me, left one by one. Only myself with a dry heart and a soul as empty as a scarecrow was left. In Umbu, I performed various cruel tasks day after day. I also got the title of cold-blooded Kakashi. Do I like this kind of life? Of course not. It was not until I started to be a team leader Jonin, met Naruto and Sasuke, and formed Team 7. Shiro Kakashi felt that he had regained some vitality. 097. But compared to myself in another world. As a team leader Jonin, if there were no interference from these alien visitors, I am afraid that in the future, I would lead Naruto. Sasuke and the others went to perform various killing missions. Trained Naruto and the others to become new tools called ninjas. He didn't like this kind of life. Countless images in by Kakashi's mind changed rapidly. He took a deep breath and said, "Join you. I don't want to be a ninja anymore. What's the point of doing killing missions all my life?" Bai Kakashi still remembers the way Menma treated him and Zabuza Momochi on the Wave Country Bridge. They said that these 2 elite jonin were not as good as the old man Dazna. Dazna could at least build bridges and build this ninja world. But ninjas like him and Zabuza could only kill people. He didn't want to be such a ninja anymore. Now, I saw another direction of the development of the ninja world. I saw different possibilities in my life. There is nothing to miss about the days when I was a Konoha shinobi. Throw myself into the arms of the Empire. Very good. Uchiha Obito looked relieved, stretched out his hand, and said to Bai Kakashi said, "Congratulations, you did not choose to use your fragile body and tiny power to hinder the progress of the chariot of the Empire, but chose the right path. Join the Empire and follow the footsteps of His Majesty. You will also have the opportunity to leave your name in the history of the Empire in the future." Huh. So cool. He had been holding back this long paragraph in his heart for a long time. Just waiting for Kakashi to speak. Now it's all said in one breath, so cool. Bai Kakashi had a black line on his face and shook hands with Obito with a little disdain. Obito in another world is indeed different from ordinary people in his mind. Such embarrassing words can actually be said. Come on, let's discuss how to investigate specifically. Uchiha Obito didn't notice Shiro Kakashi's disdain at all, and laughed and said, "Well, Shimura Danzo, why don't we start the investigation from him?" Konoha Village Underground. Root Organization Base. What did you say? Shimura Danzo's face was as black as the bottom of a pot at this moment, looking at his deputy in front of him. Fuha Togen and the others, are all dead? Yes, Lord Danzo. Aburame Ryoma, dressed in a black robe, reported respectfully, "I have sent people to collect their bodies. Everyone's fatal wound is very consistent, all of which are through wounds in the heart. One blow to the death. There is not much sign of resistance at all. I don't know whether it was a sword or wind-style ninjutsu. Who did it? Danzo was furious, looking like he was going to bite someone. Hatake Kakashi, he should not have such strength, and he dare not do this. Yamanaka Fuha Aburame Togen. These two were his trusted subordinates. Even without considering their strength, he expected that Hatake Kakashi would not dare to kill Feng and Togen. I couldn't find many traces of the enemy's actions. Aburame Ryoma shook his head and said, "It is very likely that the enemy killed Yamanaka Feng and his group of 6 people and then moved the bodies of the 6 people to another place. With the strength of the 6 of them." Shimura Danzo couldn't help but frown. Who can have the strength to kill the 6 of them so easily? The one who can do this. The strength must be comparable to the 5 Kage, right? Who could it be? Wait. Danzo's eyes suddenly shone. Jiraiya? That's right. Jiraiya was also heading towards the Land of Waves at that time. If it was Jiraiya, he should have the strength. EXT. Aburame Ryoma frowned and said in doubt, "This shouldn't be possible?" He had dealt with Jiraiya of Konoha Sannin several times and knew Jiraiya's character very well. In terms of strength, Jiraiya should be able to do this. But Jiraiya should not be a person with this kind of character. Although the 6 Yamanaka winds are root ninjas, Jiraiya can't kill them all directly even if he faces root ninjas. Jiraiya. I understand. Shimura Danzo's eyes flashed, and he felt that he had realized the truth. This is not Jiraiya's business alone. He got Hiruzen's instructions, and then dared to do it. It's right. Everything is right. Third Hokage? Aburame Ryoma was shocked and guessed something. Could it be that the 3rd generation knows our actions? No way. It must be like this. Shimura Danzo snorted coldly and said, "It's also my carelessness that I exposed my thoughts on Nine Tails Jinchuriki so blatantly. In this way, in Hiruzen's view, I must be punished." That's right. It must be like this. Hiruzen guessed that he would attack Uzumaki Naruto later. So Hiruzen instructed Jiraiya to kill all the root ninjas he sent out. It's a warning to himself. Aburame Ryoma nodded slowly, thinking. In this case, it seems that everything does make sense. Danzo-sama is targeting Nine Tails, and the 3rd Hokage is afraid, so he sends Jiraiya to kill Yamanaka and others to warn Danzo-sama. They are all connected. Damn it. Although Shimura Danzo felt that he had guessed the truth, he was still very angry. Hiruzen, you are better after all. Jiraiya, you actually ignored this guy. These 2 people are really ruthless. 6 root organization elites. 2 of them are elite Jonin, 1 Jonin, and 1 special Jonin. The other 2 were also elite Chunin. They killed them all so easily. Even Danzo would feel the pain of such a loss. It seems that Hiruzen is determined. Shimura Danzo clenched his right hand holding the cane, and he was furious. He has no intention of giving up the power in his hands and handing over the position of Hokage to me. Hateful. You have been the Hokage for decades. I have also worked hard to help you, Sarutobi Hiruzen, as a deputy and take the blame for decades. Even if there is no credit, there is still hard work, right? It's time for me to be the Hokage for a few years, right? Result. Not only did he not give me any chance, but he killed all his people to warn me. This guy Hiruzen is something that I don't even want to allow myself to have. Speaking of which, Lord Danzo, there is another very important thing. Aburame Ryoma whispered. Orochimaru received a call saying that he plans to join forces with Sand Shinobi to participate in the upcoming during the Chunin exam, launch the Konoha collapse plan. Then, with the power of Sand Shinobi and One-Tail Shikaku, plus Orochimaru himself and his Otogekure, join hands to kill Sarutobi Hiruzen. Oh. Shimura Danzo instantly became alert and said, what did Orochimaru say specifically? Orochimaru himself has only one hard request. Aburame Ryoma simply said, he hopes that in the Konoha collapse plan, he can have a one-on-one duel between him and the third Hokage. Therefore, I hope that you and the Root will not interfere, Mr. Danzo. One-on-one duel, ha. Shimura Danzo thought about it for a while and understood Orochimaru's idea. Orochimaru is still holding a grudge against Hiruzen for giving the fourth Hokage position to Namikaze Minato. He still wants to fight alone. How childish. However, this is a good thing for me. If Orochimaru kills Hiruzen, then I will have the opportunity to become the 5th Hokage. Humph. Hiruzen, since you are not going to give me any chance, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Go and reply to Orochimaru. Shimura Danzo said in a very comfortable mood, I am willing to give him this opportunity. I will not interfere with his plan to collapse Konoha. Yes. Aburame Ryoma nodded in response. Then, after thinking for a while, Aburame Ryoma continued, I found another thing when I went to Wave Country this time. The daimyo of Wave Country was killed by someone. Although this matter is not important, but it is a piece of information worth paying attention to. The daimyo of Wave Country? What does that have to do with us? Shimura Danzo waved his hand and said, even if the daimyo of Fire Country may ask to send someone to investigate, it is also something that Hiruzen, the current Hokage, needs to worry about. Now, the only thing worth his concern is the future position of Hokage. Wind Country, Sunagakure. Orochimaru's secret letter? 4th Kazekage Luosha asked in confusion, why did Orochimaru contact us? I don't know. Baki said with his head down. This letter was sent by a small snake. It can be confirmed that it was Orochimaru's method. Luosha was confused and opened the letter in his hand. He quickly read the letter. Luosha's expression became uncertain. The content of the letter was very simple. Orochimaru said that he knew that Sunagakure had financial difficulties and said that he was willing to become an ally with Sunagakure and provide some help to Sunagakure. The specific strategy of help was to join hands to deal with Konoha. In the upcoming joint Chunin exam, he, the Kazekage, will go to Konoha in person. At that time, the Kazekage, the ninja of Sunagakure, and the one-tailed Jinchuriki. In addition, Orochimaru, the rebel ninja of Konoha, and his Sound Village jointly launched the Konoha collapse plan. Do you think this is a trap set by Orochimaru? Rosa told Baki the content of the plan and asked, for example, could it be that Orochimaru and Konoha are joining forces to deal with us? As the Kazekage, he had to be more cautious. Sunagakure's current situation can't stand the tossing. It shouldn't be possible. Baki thought about it and shook his head, with Konoha's strength, it shouldn't be necessary to plot against us like this. Rosa was silenced directly. No, Baki, you are really direct. But it does make sense. Konoha is the leader of the 5 major ninja villages, and it must not be short of money. What's the benefit of plotting against them, Sunagakure? Sunagakure is so poor that he, the Kazekage, needs to go to the desert to pan for gold. Orochimaru should be sincere. Rosa ignored Baki's words and said, Otogakure. This ninja village that was established less than a few years ago was actually created by him. If Orochimaru has bad intentions, then he can just sell the information about Orochimaru and Otogakure to Konoha. Let Orochimaru's hard work for several years come to nothing. However, if this is done, the benefits to Sand Shinobi will be limited. If you want to solve Sand Shinobi's current economic problems as much as possible, it is more reliable to interrupt the leaf. Orochimaru said that the specific details require me to go out of the village to discuss in detail. Rosa put down the letter in his hand and was unable to make up his mind for the time being. Let's not talk about this for now, Baki, go and call Gaara and the other 3. Soon. The Gaara siblings and the other 2 arrived. In the Kazekage's office. They were obviously close relatives. But the atmosphere was unusually stiff. Gaara looked at Luosha, the Kazekage, his father, with no expression on his face. He had no feelings for this father who had sent people to assassinate him many times. This man had no feelings for him at all. On the other side, Luosha didn't care about Gaara's appearance. There have been many abnormalities over the dragon vein recently. Luosha said to the Gaara siblings, you 3 go and investigate to see if anyone is trying to steal the power of the dragon vein. If so, kill them directly. After all, the dragon vein is located in the Kingdom of Wind. Although it was sealed by the 4th Hokage of Konoha, so that they, Sunagakure, could not use the power of the dragon vein, but at least they couldn't let others get involved. Yes, father. Temari nodded honestly. I've said it so many times. Raza on the other side frowned, and said, you should call your position when you are working. Yes, Master Kazekage. Temari changed the address helplessly. Tisk. Gaara looked disdainful and turned away. Temari, Kankuro, stop dawdling, hurry up and catch up. What kind of family affection do you want to talk about with this man? It's ridiculous. After Gaara and the other two left, Raza sat in the Kazekage seat and pondered for a long time. Go see Orochimaru. Raza suddenly said, the village is preparing. Yes. Baki didn't feel much surprise. Sand Shinobi's economic situation is already bad to a certain extent. Even Orochimaru, a traitor, has already known about it. Well, send a few people and go with me to Orochimaru. Luo Sha thought for a while and said. He was not too worried about his own safety. Orochimaru took the initiative to propose cooperation with him. Could he fight with him? What's more, even if he fought, he would not be able to defeat anyone in the Wind Country. It was hard to say whether he could reach a cooperation with Orochimaru this time, but at least there would be no problem. Episode 52. Gaara is giving away his life. Shikaku, that's Senju Hashirama. In the desert of the Kingdom of Wind, Gaara and his 3 siblings crossed the heavy sandstorm and headed for the ruins of the ancient city of Lulan. According to the report of the villagers in the village near the ancient city of Lulan, Temari said in confusion, in the direction of the ruins of Lulan, there have been many strange lights recently, suspected to be the power of the dragon vein. The power of the dragon vein is extremely strong. It is estimated that it is not in the king of the tailed beasts. If the dragon vein goes out of control, I am afraid that the entire kingdom of wind will be affected. Therefore, the matter was entrusted to Sunagakure by the daimyo of the kingdom of wind to deal with. But, wasn't the dragon vein sealed by the 4th Hokage of Yi? Kankuro felt that he was a little confused. After that, it has been more than 10 years, and the dragon vein has not gone out of control again. The seal left by the 4th Hokage is very stable. So stable that even Sunagakure can't do anything about it. It's clearly the dragon vein under their wind country. In the end, it was sealed by a Hokage from the leaf. And they can't do anything about it. But there's nothing they can do. After all, Sunagakure's sealing skills are really not good enough. Could it be that someone from another village is trying to unlock the seal of the dragon vein? Temari guessed and said, the only people who can try to unlock the seal left by the 4th Hokage and master this level of sealing skills can only be from a large ninja village. For example, Konoha, Cloud Shinobi, and other ninja villages. They all have a strong grasp of sealing skills. It doesn't matter which ninja village they are from. Gaara said with a cold face and a cold voice, just kill them all. Kill the person who stands in front of you. Prove your existence. This is the meaning of your life. Hearing this, Temari and Kankuro looked at each other, both with a helpless look on their faces. This younger brother was made like this by his father's special training method. Even as older brothers and sisters, their words were useless. Soon, the 3 of them came to the outskirts of the ruins of the ancient city of Lulan. It's here. Temari looked at the map and said, the dragon vein should be below the ruins of this ancient city. Yes. Gaara nodded coldly. Then, with a wave of his hand, a large amount of sand was splashed out from the gourd behind him. The yellow sand was floating in the air, floating towards the sky above the ruins of the ancient city. Grains of sand filled the streets and alleys of the ancient city, acting as Yuan Luo's eyes. Found it. Gaara suddenly opened his eyes and looked in a certain direction in front of 11. There is a person over there, who should be the one who caused the riot of the dragon vein power. In the ancient city of Lulan, a wood clone left by Senju Hashirama is guarding here. People coming from the Empire come to this ninja world through the power of the dragon vein. Therefore, the dragon vein must be guarded at all times. And he is now in the body of the impure world body. Chakra is infinite, no need to eat, sleep, or rest. So, after discussion, he became the most suitable candidate to guard the dragon vein. Huh? Senju Hashirama leaned against a broken wall boredly, and suddenly frowned. Sand? And it seems to be sand containing chakra. Is it controlled by someone? It seems that someone is coming. It's you. The 3 figures of Gaara walked through the dilapidated ancient city and walked out of an alley in front. They saw Senju Hashirama here. You are the one who tried to steal the power of the dragon vein, right? Who are you? Senju Hashirama stood up, patted the dirt on his body, and looked across. This forehead protector, is it from Sunagakure? This is located in the territory of the Wind Country. It seems that the recent movement of the dragon vein has attracted the attention of Sunagakure. What to do? How to deal with these three people? Aren't you going to speak? Gaara snorted coldly, waved his hand, and a large amount of sand swept towards Senju Hashirama. Let's capture this guy first. After that, use the sand to squeeze this guy's body a little bit, and then he will probably say anything. Suddenly, Gaara's eyes moved. The guy in his body, Shikaku, seems to be moving? In the sealed space. Shikaku, who was sealed in Gaara's body, also saw the outside world at this moment. Saw the face that was very familiar to it. Different from Gaara's recklessness. Shikaku is now all furious. Idiot. You stupid brat, stop it now. Shikaku's sharp voice rang out in the sealed space. Are you blind? That's Senju Hashirama. It's Konoha's first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. You idiot, run away. Yiyu Yuanqing saves his son. What's going on? This is too scary for the tailed beasts. How could that bastard Senju Hashirama be here? Hasn't he been dead for decades? First Hokage? Gaara was confused. You said he is Konoha's first Hokage? Is Shikaku crazy? In the past, he would just make a fuss day and night. It made him unable to sleep. But now. Why are you talking nonsense again? You idiot. Shikaku was almost going crazy at this moment. That is really Senju Hashirama. I can't admit that I am wrong. No, now is not the time to argue about this, you kid, stop dawdling, run away. It doesn't want to experience the feeling of being beaten by wood style again. At the same time. Opposite. Boom. Senju Hashirama waved his arm slightly and easily dispersed the yellow sand that was overwhelming towards him. You are really anxious. Senju Hashirama said leisurely. I haven't had time to say anything yet, and you actually started it. Opposite, there seems to be a familiar breath. It seems to be a tailed beast. You are ninjas from Sunagakure. Senju Hashirama thought about it, looked at Gaara and said, so, the one sealed in your body should be one-tail Shikaku? Shikaku, he did fight with him during the Sengoku period. But in the end, he didn't catch Konoha back. Kr. Gaara's face had changed a little at this moment. Are you the first Hokage of Konoha? This guy. He just waved his hand and scattered his sand. He must be at least an elite jonin. Hey, Gaara, what are you talking about? Kankuro was confused and turned to his brother and asked, what first Hokage? Didn't he die many years ago? Shut up. Gaara had no intention of paying attention to his brother. He just stared at the man opposite with a vigilant look. It seems that it was the Shikaku in your body who told you. Senju Hashirama quickly guessed the truth, that's right. If you encounter the power of the tailed beast, you should still collect it. Although His Majesty did not force them to collect any resources. But if you encounter it, you can't let it go. At this moment. In Gaara's body. Hearing what Senju Hashirama said, Shikaku was completely blown up. Fuck. Don't dawdle. Run away. Shikaku almost begged, I beg you, run away now, I won't disturb your sleep for a year. Damn it. What did Senju Hashirama just say? Want to collect the power of the tailed beast? Fuck. I escaped Senju Hashirama's murderous hands during the Sengoku period. Of the 9 tailed beasts, it was the only one that didn't fall into Senju Hashirama's hands. As a result, now. Is it going to fall in this era? Temari felt her body trembling and her legs were a little weak. Is this really the first Hokage, the god of ninja? What's going on? It's just an ordinary mission. Why did we meet such a legendary figure in the ninja world? Gaara no longer hesitated at this moment, shouted, and then took the lead and turned quickly to the back and left. Although he didn't know the strength of the first Hokage opposite. But now, let's respect Shikaku's judgment first. I'm sorry, I can't let you leave now. Senju Hashirama mobilized chakra and clasped his hands together, wood-style tree world birth. Boom. The earth shook violently. The ground under the ancient city of Lulan was arched up. A large number of trees, with trunks several meters in diameter, quickly rose from the ground at this moment. Almost in an instant, the entire ruins of the ancient city of Lulan were covered by a lush sea of trees. Is this the legendary wood style? Temari barely dodged the rapidly growing tree trunks around her and avoided the large number of branches that were entangled, and said palely. Until now. Whether it's her or Kankuro, even if it's me who helps. It's all confirmed. The man just now is really first Hokage Senju Hashirama. You can use transformation technique to disguise your appearance. But wood style can't be faked. In a moment, such a large forest was created in the desert. Kankuro couldn't stop sweating on his forehead. You are worthy of being the god of ninja. What should we do? I'm afraid we can't escape. Temari has opened the 3-star fan in her hand and tried to cut off the branches of the surrounding trees. The scope of this forest is too large. The end of the forest can't be seen in front. But it's already difficult for them to escape now. The growing trunks around them and the large number of branches entangled around them are hindering their actions. If they are not careful, they will be entangled by the branches and feel that their chakra is sucked away quickly. It is estimated that soon, they will completely lose their ability to resist. Hey, kid! Shikaku screamed in Gaara's heart, hurry up and give me the control of your body, otherwise no one can escape today. Gaara hesitated slightly. If he lets go of the control of his body directly, maybe he will be completely controlled by Shikaku in the future. Don't waste time. Shikaku is about to cry, I'm serious. With your own strength, you can't escape at all. Damn it. Shikaku is now a little regretful. Why did he make his relationship with Gaara so stiff? As a result, now, at the critical moment, Gaara doesn't trust him. He really doesn't want to be caught by Senju Hashirama. If he is in Sunagakure and is sealed in Gaara's body. With Sunagakure's level of sealing, it may be possible to regain freedom in the future. But if it falls into the hands of Senju Hashirama, it will never be free again in this life. Gaara looked at the endless sea of trees in front of him and made up his mind, you two, get out of the way. After saying that, he didn't care whether Temari and Kankuro could react. Directly gave up the control of his own body. Then, instantly, boom. A terrifying figure as big as a small mountain appeared in the boundless forest. Buzz. Huge brass eyes lit up. A huge tail swept randomly in the forest. One tail, white crane, appeared in the form of a complete body. However, in the past, when Shikaku was briefly free, he would scream to the sky and get excited for a while. And now, boom. The rumbling sound of running was heard on the ground. Shikaku's huge and fat body had just fully appeared, and he didn't dare to stay for long, and he started running wildly in the forest. A huge fat raccoon cat ran wildly in the forest. After Temari and Kankuro dodged in a panic, they looked at Shikaku running at high speed in front of them with a look of shock on their faces. Gaara, let Shikaku out now? And after Shikaku came out, he was actually running away like crazy? With Shikaku's temper, when he regained his freedom in the past, didn't he always fight whoever he saw, and never back down? This time, he actually ran away so easily? Hey, Gaara. Kankuro looked at the huge figure running away in front of him. We haven't gone up yet. Shikaku didn't take them with him. Shikaku, it's been a long time since we last met. Senju Hashirama stood on a towering tree and saw the fat raccoon cat running wildly in the distance, and shook his hand, Ku. Instantly, the whole sea of trees moved. The endless towering trees were now pressing towards Shikaku's direction at 350. Damn it, let me go. Shikaku struggled to break free from the tree trunks that were wrapped around his limbs. Wind-style practice air bullet. Boom. The huge air cannon blasted a path through the sea of trees in front of him. However, Shikaku didn't have time to be happy for long. The trees that were knocked down in front of it grew up again at a terrifying speed and wrapped around it. Damn it, why is it like this again? Shikaku cursed, still struggling in his movements. It was like this the last time he was beaten. The vitality of this sea of trees seemed endless. No matter how it was destroyed, it would grow again immediately. Even with its size and strength, its movements would still be severely hindered. And once he ran away slowly. The surrounding trees wrapped around him and began to absorb his chakra. At this time, everything was over. Even the tailed beasts could not withstand the absorption of the technique. Behind. Seeing Shikaku being restricted by the sea of trees, Senju Hashirama moved quickly and jumped quickly between the trees. Soon, Shikaku's figure was already in sight. 10th Edict on Enlightenment. A seed appeared in the palm of Senju Hashirama's right hand, and his palm suddenly pressed towards Shikaku's head. Damn it. Shikaku couldn't dodge even if he wanted to. He could only watch helplessly as he was hit on the head. Instantly, what resistance he had originally had was gone. His big brass eyes quickly lost their luster. Bang! A burst of white smoke exploded. Shikaku's mountain-like figure disappeared. Gaara's figure reappeared in the sea of trees. In the distance, on the ground of the desert, a half-black and half-white figure poked out from the ground. Hey, hey, hey! The left half of the white body said in an unusually exaggerated voice, Xiao Hei, I should be right, right? The one just now was Konoha's first Hokage Senju Hashirama? It should be correct. Black Zetsu said hoarsely, but it should be Senju Hashirama in the form of Impure World Reincarnation. Impure World Reincarnation? White Zetsu asked curiously, who will summon the first Hokage? There are not many people in the ninja world who master this ninjutsu. Black Zetsu said coldly, moreover, the first Hokage's impure world body seems to be able to exert good strength. It seems that it should be improved on the basis of the second Hokage. In this way, the range of answers is very small. Diet. White Zetsu nodded, watching the fat raccoon cat that suddenly disappeared from a distance. Then what should we do? One tail seems to have been caught by the impure world body of the first Hokage. Will this affect our plan? Well, Black Zetsu said in a deep voice, go back quickly and tell Obito about this. How dare you target the tailed beast? You are so tired of living. Project Tsuki no Mi has already reached this stage. No one can stop him from rescuing his mother. Episode 53. Menma came to Konoha and saw Naruto's living environment. Somewhere in the ninja world. In a dark cave. There is a huge monster like a statue, with its palm sticking out from the ground, and 10 fingers pointing to the sky. Buzz. 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 Illusory shadows appeared on the fingers of the huge monster. What's the matter? Why do we have to have a meeting suddenly? Deidara said impatiently. Try to be quick, I'm in a hurry. Kakuzu's green eyes flashed with a faint light, if we delay too long, the target may escape. Even if we organize a meeting, we can't delay him from making money. In the center of a group of illusory figures, Tian Dao Pain looked around and confirmed that everyone was present before he said, Ju, tell everyone the information you found out before. Yes. White Zetsu's voice said with a smile, I heard that there was something unusual in the dragon vein of the Kingdom of Wind, so I went to check it out. As a result, guess who I met? It was a big man that you absolutely dare not imagine. Tisk. Deidara sneered and said disdainfully, what other big men can you not imagine? At most, it's just the 5 Kage, right? 5 Kage. It's not like he hasn't seen them before. The old man Anoki is really powerful. But he's just an old man who sprains his waist every day. Well, this answer is correct. White Zetsu nodded and said, it is indeed one of the 5 Kage, but it may not be what you imagine. Is it really the 5 Kage? Hashigaki Kisame asked curiously, in the territory of the Kingdom of Wind, normally, the one who appears should be the Wind Kage, right? But this doesn't seem to be unimaginable. So, could it be a shadow from another village? For a moment, everyone in the Akatsuki organization present was also curious. Could it be that old man Tsuchikage? Deidara asked curiously. It could be the 4th Raikage of Cloud Shinobi. Kakuzu guessed, Cloud Shinobi Village is very keen on expanding its strength. The Raikage should be very interested in power like the Dragon Vein. The Dragon Vein is in the direction of the Wind Country close to the Fire Country. Scorpion guessed, maybe it could be the Hokage of Konoha. Soon, the current 5 Kages of the ninja world were guessed by everyone in the Akatsuki organization. That's all. Holding a sickle on his shoulder, Haiden said disdainfully, it's just the 5 Kages. What kind of big shots are they? Kakuzu has even fought against the first Hokage of Konoha. What can the current 5 Kages be considered? Kakuzu's eyes were shining with green light. He really hoped that Haiden would shut up. This kind of bragging should be kept in private. What are you talking about in front of so many people? Yes, I finally guessed it. White Zetsu said excitedly, the answer is just as Haiden guessed. All of a sudden, the empty cave was quiet. A group of people recalled what Haiden said before. Haiden, this guy, didn't seem to guess which one of the 5 Kages it was just now? Uchiha Itachi's eyes flickered slightly. Could it be the first Hokage of Konoha? Yes, it's the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama. White Zetsu said with a smile. As soon as the words fell, there was a dead silence in Yamanaka. Hey, Kakuzu, what's wrong with you? Haiden turned to look at his teammates beside him. Your breathing seems to be a little wrong? Is it too fast? They were holding a meeting through the Rinnegan's phantom body technique. The main body was not in this cave. He and Kakuzu were teammates, and now the main body was holding a meeting together. What's wrong with Kakuzu? Why is his breathing suddenly abnormal? Haiden, shut up. Kakuzu's face changed and he said angrily. This bastard. Why is he talking so much nonsense? If this guy is not unkillable, he will kill this bastard in a while. The first Hokage of Konoha has been dead for more than 40 years, right? Hashigaki Kisame said in a deep voice. First Hokage. The title of the god of ninja is very intimidating even for these lawless rebel ninjas. It is indeed the first Hokage. Black Zetsu said in a hoarse voice, it is just Senju Hashirama in the form of impure world reincarnation. Impure world reincarnation? The red sand scorpion's voice suddenly rose. Could it be that Orochimaru's doing? Did that guy summoned Konoha's first Hokage again? Deidara was a little eager to try. I wonder how strong that first Hokage is, and whether he can withstand the test of my art. Imperfect world reincarnation is a ninjutsu. He had seen it with the red sand scorpion before. After Orochimaru defected, he had just joined the Akatsuki organization, and he and Scorpion went to hunt down Orochimaru. As a result, at an Orochimaru base, he fought with the impure world 3rd Kazekage summoned by Orochimaru. It's a pity that Orochimaru finally escaped. Imperfect world reincarnation, this ninjutsu doesn't seem to be very good? Deidara recalled, the 3rd Kazekage summoned by Orochimaru last time actually broke free from control and released the impure world reincarnation. Orochimaru should have improved impure world reincarnation. Black Zetsu briefly described the battle he had seen before. The summoned first Hokage easily caught one-tail Shikaku. All of a sudden, Kakuzu's heart, which had just been put down, was lifted up again. Legend has it that wood style has the powerful power to restrain the tailed beasts. Uchiha Itachi analyzed and said, it is indeed very strong to be able to easily catch one-tail Shikaku, but this alone cannot determine the strength of the impure world first Hokage. It doesn't matter what his strength is. Tendo Pain didn't care at all, and said indifferently. What can the god of ninja do? He who has Rinnegan is the real god in the ninja world. It should be basically certain now that the person who summoned the first Hokage using impure world reincarnation should be Orochimaru. Black Zetsu said in a low voice. A group of Akatsuki members nodded secretly. In the current ninja world, the only person who can use the jutsu impure world reincarnation is Orochimaru. In that case, who else could have performed the first Hokage impure world reincarnation if not you, Orochimaru? Orochimaru has captured one tail, which conflicts with the goal of our organization. Tendo Pain said indifferently. To revive 10 tails, you need to seal the 9-tailed beasts into the ghetto statue one by one in the order from 1 tail to 9 tails. As a result, now, the first tailed beast was actually captured by Orochimaru? It's outrageous. It's okay for a traitor of an organization to not stay quiet. How dare he snatch business from the organization? Next, all the team members put down the tasks at hand for the time being. Tendo Pain looked around and said, go and catch the traitor Orochimaru first. Don't hold back, kill him directly, and bring back one-tail Jinchuriki by the way. Konoha Village. Kuro Kakashi, Menma, Naruto, Haruno Sakura, a group of 4, finally returned from the Land of Waves. Because Kuro Kakashi successfully built the Land of Waves bridge with a ninjutsu. Now, the mission is completed earlier than expected. As for Momochi Zabuza and Haku, the two newly developed empire offlines, they are still in the land of waves. It is considered the first base of the empire in this ninja world. Of course, we can't just give up. In addition, something worth mentioning. Now, Black Kakashi disguises himself as White Kakashi. Menma disguises himself as Sasuke using the white Zetsu coat. It looked as if the 4 members of Team 7 had returned to Konoha safely. The 5 great ninja villages are only this level. Menma, with a Sasuke face, looked around and shook his head in disappointment. It's not even as good as the countryside. It's far from the empire. In this ninja world, even the most prosperous places are not as good as the most underdeveloped areas of the empire. Haruno Sakura shivered and dared not speak. Although the person next to her was wearing Sasuke's skin, she knew very well that this was not Sasuke. When she thought that 2 of her 4 people had been swapped, Haruno Sakura felt cold all over. Why did she have to encounter such a terrible thing? Naruto was still completely unconvinced and wanted to argue with Menma. These guys tricked Sasuke away and stopped him from chasing Sasuke back. However, Naruto was about to speak. His body suddenly stiffened. What he wanted to say was held back in his stomach. Haven't you given up yet? Menma couldn't help shaking his head and said, how many times have you done this? Don't you learn your lesson? Ever since Sasuke left here and went to the Empire, Naruto has been making trouble countless times. There is no sign of giving up. He knew he couldn't beat them, but he wanted to do it every time, trying to force them to return Sasuke. The result? Menma had no choice. He could only use some special means. Look at him, he can see the situation clearly. Menma pointed at Haruno Sakura and said, if you can be so honest, I don't need to treat you like that, right? You. Naruto glared at Menma. This bastard. I don't know what kind of curse was cast on my tongue before. As a result, when I want to talk about these guys now, my body will be stiff and I can't speak. Instead of arguing with me, you should practice hard and improve your strength. Menma patted Naruto's shoulder and said with a little helplessness, if you really want to do something, you have to beat us first. Don't you understand this principle? For his own counterpart in this world. He also felt very speechless. In terms of strength, he is not strong enough. In terms of brain, he is not very smart. But he is stubborn. Knowing that he can't beat me, he still yells for me to return Sasuke every day. It's annoying enough. So, in the end, in order to prevent Naruto from telling about their affairs with the Empire after returning to Konoha, Menma simply cast the tongue-killing seal on Naruto. Suddenly, Menma's eyebrows moved slightly, and he noticed something was wrong. The 4 of them were now on a busy street in Konoha village. There were many Konoha village residents around. Look, it's that kid. This little fox kid is really annoying. Shoo. Are you going to die? The 3rd generation adults said that you are not allowed to talk about kids like that. Tisk, what's wrong with talking about it in private? Can someone come to arrest me? Mom, what's wrong with that guy? Good baby, listen, remember not to get close to this person when you see him outside in the future. But, why? No reason, just say it directly. A faint whisper. Pointing and pointing. A series of strange eyes were all directed towards Naruto. What's going on with these people? Menma frowned and tried to concentrate to listen to what these people were saying. Is their attitude towards Naruto? The attitudes don't seem to be very friendly. Kuro Kakashi touched his chin and said. He could see that the attitudes of the Konoha villagers were all because of Naruto. As for them, they seemed to be rejected and kept away by the people around them because of Naruto. Naruto lowered his head and pouted, I don't care about these at all. Menma's face was slightly condensed, and after a moment of silence, he turned to Haruno Sakura and asked, has Naruto always been like this in the village? Have those people always treated Naruto like this? Haruno Sakura nodded cautiously. Is that so? Menma nodded slightly and fell silent. The sights of those people around him, the gossips, all made him feel uncomfortable. Even if those people's target was Naruto, not directly at him, Menma still felt uncomfortable. DSA. Have I always lived in such an environment in this world? Let's go to Naruto's house and take a look? Menma thought about it and suddenly spoke. He wanted to know more about his living conditions in this world. In the eyes of passers-by nearby who looked at him like a plague god. A group of 4 people entered Naruto's house. Bang. The door closed. DF. Menma couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief, pinched his forehead and said, I can't believe that they are just a group of ordinary people, but they can bring me so much pressure. Being stared at by a group of people with strange eyes. He kept talking in bits and pieces. Seeing all this, Menma felt an indescribable irritation in his heart. I just saw that there seemed to be no one living around here. Kakashi looked at Naruto, squinted his eyes and said, there are obviously many houses around, but they seem to be vacant. Could it be? It's because Naruto lives here. So, the people around have moved away? What kind of treatment does Naruto get in Konoha village? He is the orphan of the 4th Hokage who sacrificed himself to seal 9 tails. How did he get treated like this? You usually live alone, how do you eat? Menma walked around in each room, looked back and forth, walked to the kitchen, and opened the refrigerator. There's not much in the refrigerator. But there are a lot of instant noodles in the room. You guys, don't you eat instant noodles every day? Menma looked at Naruto with some suspicion. If that's the case, Naruto's current height makes sense. It would be strange if he could grow normally if he only ate these. I can eat some vegetables now. Naruto couldn't help but retort, looking at Black Kakashi, and said, Teacher Kakashi sometimes brings me some food. I'm talking about the real Teacher Kakashi, not you, the fake one. So, does that mean he didn't eat vegetables before? Black Kakashi couldn't help but sigh, is there no one to take care of him? How can a child grow up like this? He lost his parents when he was young. He eats instant noodles every day and doesn't even eat vegetables. People in the village still look at him like that. It seems that it's not easy for Naruto to grow up to this point. Huh? Menma picked up a box of milk from the refrigerator. This was produced 2 months ago. You must have bought it before you went to Wave Country, right? It's been expired for a long time and can't be drunk. Kuro Kakashi frowned, turned to look at Naruto and Haruno Sakura and asked, when did you go to Wave Country to carry out the mission? When did you buy that box of milk? It should have been a month ago. Haruno Sakura replied in a low voice. Instantly, Menma and Kuro Kakashi's faces changed. Episode 54. Activate the malice sense. Feel the malice of the Konoha villagers. Menma looked at the box of milk in his hand again. This was produced 2 months ago. The shelf life is only half a month at most. He had left home for the Land of Waves a month ago. In other words, this box of milk had expired when Naruto was still at home. When did you buy this box of milk? Menma was still a little unwilling to give up and continued to ask. Maybe Naruto was too careless in his life. He didn't notice that the milk in the refrigerator had expired. When? Naruto scratched his head in some confusion, and recalled carefully for a long time before saying, oh. I remember, this should have been bought a few days before leaving for the Land of Waves. He felt it was a pity at the time. He just bought milk, but he was about to go on a long journey. Menma took a deep breath and said, this box of milk should have exceeded its shelf life when you bought it. Didn't you notice it at the time? No. Not just that. Damn it. What kind of unscrupulous merchants can't sell expired milk like this? Shelf life, I don't really understand these things. Naruto scratched his head and said. Isn't it okay as long as it can be drunk? Sometimes I get diarrhea after drinking milk. Maybe the merchants saw this in you. Kuro Kakashi said helplessly, they deliberately sold the expired milk that couldn't be sold in the store to you, so that they can make some money. This is too much. To treat an orphan who has been without parents since childhood like this. Especially, Naruto is the son of the hero who sealed 9 tails with the 4th Hokage. By the way, there is one more thing. Kuro Kakashi thought of the 4th Hokage and asked Naruto, looking at the furnishings in your house, it seems that you are not very rich. Your parents, the 4th Hokage and his wife, don't they have any inheritance to leave you? Naruto's face turned a little gloomy. I didn't know who my parents were before. If it weren't for this group of people from Otherworld. He still doesn't know his own life experience now. 3rd Hokage Grandpa sends me some living expenses every month. Naruto thought for a moment and said, maybe that's from my parents' inheritance. Else. Menma frowned, with a bad feeling in his heart. How much living expenses does he give you every month? What can you buy with it? $1,000 a month. Naruto gestured with his hand and said, if you save a little, excluding the money for instant noodles, it's enough to eat Ichiraku ramen 10 times a month. 220. Hearing this, Menma felt his eyes go dark. 1 month, 1 ramen? Just this little living expenses? What can you do with this? Naruto is only 12 years old now, still growing up. With this little living expenses, he basically eats instant noodles every day. No wonder he is only this tall. Although I don't know how much inheritance the 4th Hokage and his wife in this world have. Kuro Kakashi narrowed his eyes and said, but at least it is certain that the living expenses that the 3rd Hokage gave you could not have come from the 4th Hokage's inheritance. It is probably the subsidy that all Konoha orphans have. However, the difference here with Naruto is that the 3rd Hokage will personally deliver these subsidies. Perhaps it is because of Naruto's identity as Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. I really can't imagine it now. Menma looked at Naruto and said with sympathy, it's not easy for you to grow up to this point. An orphan who lost his parents at a young age. In the village, he has to endure the strange eyes of the villagers every day. The children are asked by their parents not to contact Naruto. Usually, there is only a very limited living allowance, and eating is a problem. When buying things in the store, the boss will deliberately sell expired food. All this adds up. At least, Menma felt that if it were him, he would have no confidence to bear it. All of a sudden, Menma's previous contempt and disdain for Naruto turned into sympathy at this moment. This counterpart of his in this ninja world is really having a hard time living. Why do you all look at me like this? Naruto looked at the strange eyes of Kuro Kakashi and Menma, and said with some displeasure, I don't need your sympathy. If you really sympathize with me, then return Sasuke. Menma was speechless. This guy. Still thinking about Sasuke. The influence of Ashura's chakra is really terrible. Fortunately, His Majesty stripped himself of the influence of Ashura's will when he was a child. It's impossible to return Sasuke, because Sasuke wants to leave. Menma shook his head and said to Naruto, but if you can cooperate with us, maybe we can send you to see Sasuke. Exclamation point. Naruto was a little moved for a moment, but after thinking about it carefully, he still refused firmly, I don't care about your place. I want to work hard to become the Hokage of Konoha and get everyone's recognition. This is his dream. If he goes to Otherworld, how can he realize his dream since he was a child? Bed. What did you say just now? Menma even doubted whether he heard it wrong. You want to become a Hokage, because you want to get everyone's recognition? That's right. Naruto nodded firmly. Although many people still don't like me now. But as long as I become a Hokage, or even the strongest Hokage who surpasses all the previous Hokages, at that time, everyone should be able to recognize me, right? No, who do you want to get recognition from? Menma looked puzzled, is it the recognition of those Konoha villagers? They all treated you like that. You actually want to get their recognition? Of course. Naruto said seriously, I hope all the villagers and ninjas can recognize me, Uzumaki Naruto. In the room, there was silence for a while. This should also be the influence of Ashura's will. Menma guessed and said, Your Majesty said that Ashura inherited the naive ideas of the Sage of Six Paths, and also hoped to achieve mutual understanding between everyone. His will affect generations of Ashura's chakra reincarnations. Now Naruto is like this, it is obvious that he is affected by Ashura's will. Normal people will not seek recognition from those who have hurt themselves. But Naruto has such an idea. If His Majesty had not helped him to strip Ashura's will from his chakra when he was a child. Will I grow up to be like Naruto now? When Menma thought of this possibility, he felt a little scared. My own thinking and will were influenced by another will during my growth, making me become closer and closer to that person's will silently. Will I still be myself after growing up like this? Naruto, cooperate with me to do an experiment. Menma suddenly thought of something, and his finger quickly reached out and tapped Naruto's forehead. Space transformation. In the sealed space inside Naruto's body. Hey, Kurama, we meet again. Menma smiled and greeted Nine-Tails in the red prison. Humph. Nine-Tails' huge body was coiled inside the prison, snorted coldly, and ignored Menma at all. This kid from Otherworld is very troublesome. He has such strong strength at a young age. And he has awakened adamantine sealing chains. Facing this sealing technique that specifically counters the tailed beasts, even if it is Nine-Tails, Tails was helpless. He simply ignored the brat. Hey, Kurama, it's very rude of you to ignore me like this. Menma shook his head helplessly. I came to you this time to discuss a cooperation with you, a cooperation that you must be very willing to do. However, Nine-Tails remained indifferent. He had no intention of paying attention to Menma at all. ADJ. Menma chuckled and didn't care much about Nine-Tails' attitude. He said, Kurama, I know that you have an ability called malicious perception, right? Nine-Tails' slender ears moved slightly. Malicious perception, it does have this ability, and it is a unique ability. However, how did this kid from Otherworld know this? And he also knew his own name. Could it be that my other self told him? TSK. What the hell? My other self actually believed these humans and even said his own name. Kurama, what I want to cooperate with you is that you apply the malicious perception ability to me. Menma said with a confident smile on his face, I plan to go to Konoha village again later. If you apply malicious perception to me, then I can feel the maliciousness of the Konoha villagers towards Naruto. He is very confident. Kurama will definitely not refuse this cooperation. Sure enough. Soon, Nine-Tails' huge head turned around. The huge fox pupils looked down at Menma below and said condescendingly, Kid, what are you going to do? Exert your own malicious perception, and then experience the malice of the Konoha villagers towards Naruto, the kid. This experience has nothing to do with the education of the United States. This kid from the Otherworld is asking for trouble? I just want to experience it. Menma stretched out his hand, clenched into a fist, and said to Nine-Tails in the giant prison, experience how Naruto feels when living in Konoha village. And, Kurama, you should hate humans, right? Humph. Nine-Tails snorted coldly. Nonsense. On the one hand, it regards it as a disaster, and on the other hand, it captures it and tries to use its power. Of course, it hates such humans. So, you should be able to look forward to my reaction later. Menma smiled and said, maybe, after I use your malicious perception to experience the malice of the Konoha villagers, I will be completely unable to bear it, and may even collapse. Nine-Tails' ears moved. Such a scene seems worth seeing. This annoying Otherworld kid has tied himself up twice with adamantine sealing chains. If there is a chance to see this kid make a fool of himself, of course he can't let it go. Kid, you asked for this. Nine-Tails sneered and said, I am looking forward to seeing you collapse and cry in a while. Others may not understand Naruto's daily life, but how could it not understand? It was sealed into Naruto's body almost when Naruto was born. It knew all too well the malice of the Konoha villagers and ninjas towards Naruto. That was not something that ordinary people could bear. This yellow-haired kid from Otherworld was only a little bit powerful at most. But things like mental endurance have nothing to do with strength. Well, in that case, I wish us a happy cooperation. Menma walked slowly towards the red prison in the sealed space and put his fist into the prison. Nine-Tails turned his head. Who wants to cooperate with you happily? But in terms of action, Nine-Tails still handed over his fist and gently bumped fists with Menma. At the door of Naruto's house, Menma took a deep breath and suddenly felt a little nervous. Open this door and walk out, you may have to face the malice of the whole village. Can you bear it? Hey. Naruto said impatiently, are you going to leave or not? This guy just asked me to go out with him for no reason. What a trouble. Also let me prepare myself a little bit. Menma tried to cheer himself up, stretched out his hand to hold the door handle, and suddenly opened the door. Came outside. There aren't many people living near Naruto's house. There are only a few pedestrians on the road now. Let's go, take a walk. Menma, who was wearing a Sasuke face, said to Naruto. Naruto looked disgusted. This guy. Why did he have to look like Sasuke? The two walked on the road together. Menma looked at the pedestrians on the road with some curiosity. At the same time, he concentrated his mind and listened quietly. Suddenly, a strange feeling was sensed by Menma. There was no shape, it was extremely abstract, and it seemed to be just a pure malice. And the source of this malice was a passerby who was walking towards them on the road. Is this the ability to perceive malice? Menma narrowed his eyes slightly. Even without using the ability to perceive malice, he could see from the face of the passerby who was walking in the opposite direction, the extremely obvious rejection and disgust. However, with the blessing of the ability to perceive malice, Menma felt the inner emotions of the passerby more clearly. It's just this level. Menma couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Yeah. Although it was indeed uncomfortable for an unrelated passerby to do this to him. But it was just this level, he could completely bear it. Let's go, you lead the way, go to a place with more people. Menma said to Naruto, well, what do you want to buy today, I'll treat you. He is not short of money in this world now. He got a very generous amount of Empire activity funds from Cardo before. That's what you said? Naruto's eyes lit up, let's go to Ichiraku Ramen, I'll eat you bastards out of money. This group of guys forcibly took Sasuke away. Let's take revenge in this way first. Soon. Ahead, they arrived at the commercial district of Konoha. There were more and more pedestrians around. And beads of sweat began to appear on Menma's face. Are the pedestrians around here so malicious? Why does it seem that almost every passerby will burst out with malice when looking at him and Naruto? Although the specific malice of each person is not too strong. But with so much malice added up, Menma feels that he seems to be too confident before. Don't you feel anything? Menma looked at the passersby around who looked at him and his wife with strange eyes, and felt that he was about to sweat. Huh? What do you feel? Naruto looked in the direction of Menma's sight, nothing? What's wrong with this guy? Isn't it just to eat a few bowls of ramen from you? Why are you so scared? I will eat a few less bowls in the future? Menma has nothing to say. Naruto, this guy really has a big heart. Huh, calm down, calm down. It doesn't make sense that Naruto can bear it, but he can't. However, even if Menma tries to adjust his state, the malice coming from all around did not decrease at all. On the contrary, when Menma concentrated, the content he felt through the malice became richer. Fox. Monster. Fox kid. One sentence after another of his inner thoughts, full of malice, entered Menma's mind. Episode 55. How come the fourth-generation couple's inheritance is in the third Hokage's house? Is this a further malicious perception? Menma looked at the malicious gazes around him. If you perceive carefully, you can even detect some simple inner activities of others. Inner activities full of maliciousness. Just like now. At this moment, Menma heard the most in the hearts of the Konoha villagers and ninjas around him. Demon Fox. The most repeated word in the hearts of everyone around him. Do these people know that Naruto is Nine Tails Jinchuriki? Menma was a little confused. I heard from Kakashi in this world that the third Hokage of Konoha did not reveal Naruto's background. Even the identity of the son of the fourth Hokage was not revealed. Now, how come the identity of Nine Tails Jinchuriki is known to everyone? Hey, we're here. Naruto's voice interrupted Menma's thoughts, this is Ichiraku Ramen. The two walked into the store. Instantly, Menma felt much more relaxed. The feeling of sweating all over disappeared in an instant. After entering this Ichiraku Ramen restaurant, I seemed to sense less malice. Especially the squinty-eyed boss of Ichiraku Ramen and his daughter. There was no malice at all from these two people. Do you come here often? Menma looked around and looked at the customers eating noodles around him. The malice felt from these customers seemed to be less. Of course. Naruto smiled and waved to Tada, saying, hello, Uncle Tada, give me a bowl of super pork bone ramen, add more meat, the more the better. Oh, it's Naruto, are you back from outside? Tada smiled, and his slightly squinting eyes seemed to be much wider. Why, did you make a lot of money in the mission? Yeah, this counts as well. Naruto nodded repeatedly and said, but, someone is treating me today, so I can eat whatever I want. Said. It seems that he is a little worried that Menma will regret it. Right? You said before that you treat me today. Naruto said to Menma. Just a few bowls of ramen. Menma's mouth twitched. I won't fool you with these. This guy is really easy to satisfy. After saying that he would treat me today, his attitude became much better. He was no longer angry with me like before. Soon, 2 bowls of ramen were ready. After they were served, the difference was extremely obvious. One bowl was just an ordinary portion with some bamboo shoots added in it. And the other bowl was piled up to the point of almost overflowing. Hey! Do you like bamboo shoots? Naruto pulled his bowl over and looked at Menma's bowl of ramen next to him. He instantly looked disgusted. I hate eating this kind of thing the most. It seems that you should like Naruto rolls more? Menma nodded, thinking. This is also the difference between the two worlds. The self in different worlds is not only different in growth experience and personality. Even these subtle preferences are different. It's a very interesting experience. Soon, Menma finished a bowl of ramen. And Naruto, after finishing one bowl, still felt it was not enough, and continued to order the same bowl. Huh. I'm so full. Naruto patted his bulging belly. This is the first time I've eaten so much at Ichiraku Ramen. Now it seems that these guys from the other world are not so annoying. Menma, who was following Naruto, was a little speechless. Just now Naruto ate several bowls, and every night he ate the largest amount, with enough meat. But in total, he only ate less than 1,000 taels. However, this should be considered a lot for Naruto's daily life. It's almost a month's living expenses. Duh. Naruto, his own counterpart, is really pitiful. Suddenly, Naruto brother. In front, a little guy waved his hand from a distance and ran towards Naruto, quickly. Oh, it's Konohamaru. Naruto's eyes lit up. Katu? Menma's brows moved slightly. Who is he? Why is he named like this? The grandson of Dai Hikage. Naruto introduced, but there is another more important identity, that is, the younger brother of the future Hokage. Menma's expression changed slightly. Third Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen's grandson. This person does not exist in his world at all. More than 20 years ago. After the conflict between His Majesty and the third Hokage, Shimura Danzo and others developed to the final stage, the whole family of Sarutobi Hiruzen and others was killed by His Majesty. Of course, this also includes Sarutobi Hiruzen's son. And now, this kid named Sarutobi Konohamaru is obviously less than 1,000 years old. In his world, this kid has not even been born yet, and his father and grandfather have been killed by His Majesty. By the way, Naruto. As Konohamaru and Naruto were talking, he suddenly remembered something and took out a scarf from his pocket. I found a very strange thing at home today. Scarf? Naruto took the scarf, looked at it carefully, and felt confused. What's so strange about it? Isn't it just an ordinary scarf? Green with light blue stripes. Nothing special. No, Naruto, look here. Konohamaru searched the green scarf, pointed to a place, and said to Naruto, look, there are words on it. What's wrong with embroidered words on the scarf? Isn't this very common? Naruto looked at the words embroidered on the green scarf. Hey, the words embroidered seem to be Ming Ming. The words embroidered on it. Why does it look like his own name? Right, it's very strange. Konohamaru nodded repeatedly and said, I found this from my grandfather's things. I found your name on it, Naruto, brother, it's really strange. In his opinion, this must mean that there is a fate between him and Naruto. This scarf may be left by some elder of his grandfather. Maybe it was an elder of the Sarutobi clan in the past, whose name was also called Birdman. Then, the name Naruto was embroidered on the scarf that the elder had worn. Result. Now, I have met a new Naruto. This is of course fate. You just said. Menma looked at Naruto, then looked at Konohamaru. Did you find this scarf among the third Hokage's things? Ah. Yes, yes. Konohamaru looked at Menma's expressionless face covered with Sasuke's skin, and suddenly felt a little scared. He asked Naruto carefully, Brother Naruto, who is he? Is he your friend? However, Naruto did not speak. Brother Naruto? Konohamaru looked at Naruto strangely, but found that Naruto's expression was stagnant. His eyes were fixed on the green scarf with the word Naruto embroidered on it in his hand. What happened? What happened to this scarf? At the same time, in the sealed space inside Naruto's body, a burst of wanton laughter shook the entire sealed space. Nine Tails laughed wantonly in the giant prison. Naruto, do you want to know why your name is on that scarf? No one should know this better than it. After all, at the beginning, it saw with its own eyes the owner of this scarf, knitting the scarf stitch by stitch, and embroidering the two words Naruto on it. Naruto was in a trance and found himself in a dark sewer. You are the demon fox in my body? It's really scary. A fox as big as a hill is actually sealed in his body? Demon fox? Nine Tails' ears moved and snorted coldly. Kid, I'm in a good mood now, so I won't bother with you about this. Hey, do you want to know why there is your name on this scarf? What do you want to say? Naruto swallowed his saliva and felt nervous. He felt that he seemed to have guessed something vaguely. Tab. It shouldn't be like that. Humph. Nine Tails sneered and said, the two words Naruto on this scarf are talking about you. Because, this scarf was originally knitted by your mother when she was pregnant with you. My previous Jinchuriki. The mother of Naruto, the silly boy, knitted a scarf for her child. And it was embroidered with Naruto's name. As a result, now, it was found among the third Hokage's things by the grandson of the third Hokage. Ha 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 ha. Nine Tails thought of this and laughed happily again. Fourth Hokage, you idiot. When you tried your best to seal me away, did you think that there would be this moment today? Ha ha ha, deal with circumflexa with circumflex. What a happy fox. Namikaze Minato, that bastard. The relic that his wife prepared for her son actually fell into the home of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. At the same time, the fourth Hokage and his wife's inheritance, Naruto has never even seen it. What does this mean? Just thinking about it makes the fox happy. In the real world, this scarf is. Naruto subconsciously clenched his hands, tightly grasping the green scarf in his hand that he had never seen before. It was knitted by his mother, and it was a relic of his parents. Buzz. Naruto's original blue eyes suddenly turned red, and the vertical pupils of a fox suddenly appeared. Boom. An ominous breath emanated from Naruto's body. The six paths beard on Naruto's face gradually became thicker, and a murderous look appeared in his eyes. He looked down at Konohamaru. Why is it in your house? Sorry? Konohamaru subconsciously stepped back, his voice trembling. What happened? Why did brother Naruto suddenly become like this? I don't seem to have done anything? Let me ask you. Naruto stepped forward, grabbed Konohamaru's collar, and Konohamaru picked it up directly. Why is this scarf in your house? Tell me. While speaking, Naruto's evil spirit became heavier. Konohamaru was completely dumbfounded, his body was shaking all the time, and he couldn't speak at all. A warm feeling came between his legs. Yellow liquid dripped on the ground. Hey, Naruto. Menma looked at the people around him who were watching this side, and patted Naruto on the shoulder. Don't make a mistake, it just happened to have your name, what do you think of it? Naruto, this is a sign of going berserk. Without thinking too much, Menma could guess that it must be what Nine Tails in Naruto's body said just now. This caused Naruto's current reaction. While speaking, Menma patted Naruto's shoulder with his hand, and a chakra entered Naruto's body. In the sealed space. Walala. A large number of golden chains appeared out of thin air and bound Nine Tails in the red prison. Asshole. Nine Tails dodged frantically, but there was not much room to dodge. Soon, the familiar scene was played out again. Nine Tails' torso and limbs were tied tightly with golden chains. Damn it. If this brat wants to go berserk, that's the third Hokage's fault. Nine Tails yelled at Menma outside, what does it have to do with me? I'm just telling the truth. Damn it. This is too unreasonable. Why did he tie himself up again? However, Menma ignored Nine Tails this time. Naruto, calm down. 0. Menma said comfortingly, you may have some misunderstandings about some things, and you haven't understood the whole picture yet. He probably guessed it. This scarf should have been woven for Naruto by Naruto's mother in this world. But now it has fallen into Sarutobi Hiruzen's home. In addition, Naruto has no idea about his life experience and has never seen his parents' inheritance. Combining these two, we can probably guess the conclusion. The fourth Hokage and his wife's inheritance fell into the hands of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage. Hey, kid. A figure suddenly flashed over, staring at Naruto, and said, "Let go of Master Konohamaru." Seeing the person coming, Konohamaru was immediately pardoned. Ebisu. Teacher Ebisu, save me. Konohamaru cried and asked for help from his tutor. Menma was a little suspicious and turned his head to look at Ebisu. This guy, in his perception, has a little experience. It should be beyond the level of Chunin, probably the level of Special Jonin. Is this guy Sarutobi Konohamaru's teacher? Sarutobi Konohamaru, this guy, according to his age, should still be studying in the ninja school, right? It seems that he should be a private tutor. A person with special Jonin strength as a teacher, really worthy of being the grandson of the third Hokage. However, they are both descendants of Hokage. Naruto, the son of the fourth Hokage, is treated much worse than Konohamaru, the grandson of the third Hokage. Kid, did you hear me? When Ebisu saw that Naruto still didn't let go, he suddenly became anxious. Let go of Master Konohamaru. Damn it. If it wasn't for this little fox demon, he would have taken action long ago. It's his fault as a tutor that Master Konohamaru encountered this kind of thing. Naruto, forget it for now. Menma persuaded, what are you asking this kid? He doesn't know anything. Hey, kid, what are you talking about? Ebisu raised his eyebrows and scolded Menma, Uchiha Sasuke, right? What did you say about Master Konohamaru just now? Menma had a blank expression on his face and glanced at Ebisu coldly. In an instant, Ebisu's body froze. He felt that he almost felt like he was facing a tailed beast just now. It was as if he had returned to the Nine Tails Rebellion 12 years ago, and saw the Nine Tails' power from afar. Why can a kid from the Uchiha clan give me this feeling? Let's go, Naruto, go back first. Menma patted Naruto's hand and said. 09. Naruto had already been freed from his previous rampage state, and the evil spirit in his heart had mostly disappeared. He glanced at Konohamaru, let go of his hand, put on the green scarf, and turned away without looking back. D. The sound of Konohamaru crying came from behind. Naruto's home. X10S. Kuro Kakashi listened to Menma's story and nodded. It seems that the fourth Hokage and his wife's legacy is likely to fall into the hands of the Sarutobi family and the third Hokage. Yeah. Menma nodded, turned to look at Naruto, who was in a strange mood, and asked, Naruto, what are your plans now? What are you going to do next? Uzumaki Naruto's blue eyes revealed confusion, and he looked down at his hands. I don't know, 4.